Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another Timepieces for Tomorrow video. And this video is actually a response to John. And if you checked out my Timepieces for Tomorrow wristwatch collection reviews, check out John's collection. And this is actually something that he had suggested that, hey, try this topic for a future video. And this video is Tudor supply and demand. And I really want to dissect Tudor supply and demand within a lot of depth within this video. And John, thanks by the way for, I know he's a big merch supporter. He's purchased a coffee mug, a sweatshirt, and a whole lot more. And obviously I don't see what people purchase, but he was kind enough to email me and let me know that he had supported Timepieces for Tomorrow by purchasing some of that merch. So if you're looking for Timepieces for Tomorrow merch, you want to help to support videos like this, look down below and you can find it all there. T-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, stickers, pint glasses, and a whole lot more. So Tudor supply and demand. Now Tudor, in case you're new to the Tudor brand and you're not familiar, it's part of the Hand Wilsdorf Foundation. So the Hand Wilsdorf Foundation is the crown at the top, which is Rolex, and then Tudor, the shield, which is underneath. And historically, Tudor has been tainted with the image of, oh, it's just a poor man's Rolex. That's been the stereotype that Tudor seems to have had for many years, and it's not the case anymore. So what's happened is that Tudor has released the Black Bay line. Now, if you're not familiar with Black Bay, actually I got a Black Bay on my wrist right now. This is the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Reverse Panda or Inverted Panda, meaning that the primary dial is black, the sub dials are a silverish white. So this is an example, and it's going to segue into this video's topic, Tudor supply and demand. This is a prime example of a Tudor timepiece that is very hard to source. Now, obviously, I've been collecting timepieces for many years. I've established quality relationships with quality authorized dealers. So, I'm fortunately able to source a lot of really cool wristwatches. Speaking of that, if you're a pre-owned wristwatch dealer, I'm looking for a relationship with a pre-owned wristwatch dealer. So I need access to quality timepieces to review here in my studio during upcoming Timepieces for Tomorrow videos. So shoot me a message, review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com, because I'd love to chat if you are a pre-owned wristwatch dealer or know somebody that is, because it could be a great opportunity, not just for myself to have access to more wristwatches to review, but also great for you for your pre-owned wristwatch business, because I can push traffic your way. So with that being said, yeah, Tudor supply and demand, definitely not to the level of Rolex. I mean, what we're seeing now with Rolex is that almost every reference, all the way down to the Oyster Perpetuals, not saying there's anything wrong with an Oyster Perpetual, but almost every Rolex reference is absent from the Rolex authorized dealers. You're not seeing it to that degree with Tudor, but what you are starting to see with Tudor, number one, Tudor has kind of stepped outside of that, oh, it's just a poor man's Rolex brand. That's the stigma that unfairly plagued Tudor for many years until they released the Black Bay. But now what you're starting to see, Tudor supply and demand, you're seeing core references such as the Tudor Black Bay Chrono, such as the Tudor Black Bay 58, and now the Tudor Pelagos FXD. You're starting the Marine Nationale. You're starting to see a lot of core reference, or what I refer to as core reference Tudor timepieces that are next to impossible to source, unless you have a quality relationship with an authorized dealer. And even if you have that, there's people that have a quality relationship with an authorized dealer, but they still, because of supply and demand, there's certain Tudors that are just, there's a wait list for. And that's where we're really starting to see, that's starting to reinforce the fact that Tudor is no longer a poor man's Rolex, that Tudor has developed its own brand identity. Because now Tudor, again, those core references, they're hard to source. So as Tudor becomes more popular, not just at the core reference level, the examples that I just provided, and another one to add to that pot would be the Tudor North Flag. The Tudor North Flag's now discontinued, and look at it on the secondary market. It shot through the roof. And, that was a piece that I passed up in St. Thomas, unfortunately. But, you can't have everything. You got to figure out. At that point in time, I picked up a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2, which is great. But, looking back, I wish I had picked up the North Flag, but you can't have wristwatch regrets. You shouldn't. So, but yeah, Tudor has now signaled with those core references and some of the discontinued references that, it is a highly desirable timepiece brand. And if this trend continues, what I expect to see is that supply and demand to pick up some of the other popular but less popular Tudor references as well. I don't think we're going to see a shortage of the old school, when Tudor really didn't seem to know what it was doing, back in the, when they had the, and again, I'm not a fan, you may be, the Hydro Conquest and that sort of stuff. That was just a weird, in my opinion, a weird time period for Tudor. But post Black Bay, I think Tudor's going to have a ton of references that are in short supply. And I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are. Comment down below and tell me what you think about Tudor, because I see this as kind of the start of, I look at Tudor as the next Rolex. And what I mean by that is that Rolex has, inevitably, they price themselves out of the price territory for most consumers. And that's heavily linked to, to the annual increases, which they've continued to do, which is great. They don't do it every year, but they do it for most years. Tudor does the same thing. But see, now Tudor is also going to become more prevalent, not just because people realize that, hey, they're a great brand, they're not a compromise. Tudor is not a compromise. And they're also going to be probably the only option for a lot of people because, again, Rolex, even if you can find it in an authorized dealer, Rolex is at a different price point. And Tudor is that new, and I wouldn't call it entry level, but, Tudor is that new price point for people that want a high-quality Swiss timepiece, but, they don't want to potentially go on a waiting list for a Rolex or fork out the amount of cash that a Rolex commands now. So I think that the Tudor supply and demand, I think it's just going to continue. Again, the core references are going to become harder and harder to source, and the discontinued references, yeah, good luck. Even finding some of those on the secondary market. And if you do, they're going to be astronomically marked up. So, Tudor is entering new territory now. And Tudor, in my opinion, they're going to become the new Rolex that has current technology. It's kind of like the new old Rolex. It's got a vintage, old school style look, but when you pop the case back, you realize, oh, it's modern technology. And it's going to be an interesting ride. This is sorry, I had a package. So, but again, John, thanks for the great question. And I've got a laundry list of video topics that you suggested. I really appreciate that. And again, I appreciated having the opportunity to review your wristwatch collection. Speaking of wristwatch collection reviews, if anybody out there has a wristwatch or a collection of wristwatches, email me. review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com. I will post, if you want to go first name only, if you want to use an alias, obviously I don't list full name, but I'll refer to you within the video and then talk about the timepieces in your collection and make recommendations and just have a lot of good time. So thanks everyone for your viewership. But yeah, Tudor supply and demand. Tudors are going to become harder and harder to get, especially the core references. But again, some of the other popular references as well, because as the core references are next to impossible to get, it's going to follow and it's going to hit the other good quality references. Then they're going to become harder to get. It's going to be an interesting ride. Tell me what you think within the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe. And when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day. Thanks again for watching this video, and want to remind everyone, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And if you've got a wristwatch or a wristwatch collection that you'd like for me to try to review within an upcoming video, send me an email, review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.